Oh
and
my
we can
God,
talk
get the
about
hell out of here.
We can
dude.
talk about Rodgers.
Get the hell out of here.
Okay, what is the need to bring up the Yankees?
It's just stuff to bring up because
Are you kidding me? Come on, dude. This came out of nowhere.
not. Clemson is a top team. Don't start with that. Clemson's a top team, no doubt, 100%.
Unless they're on Saturday, then they might move down.
Welcome back to Go Chat. We are here with episode number 67. We have a good episode lined up. Obviously, the college football playoff finished up on Monday night. Didn't go the way I wanted to. You guys know I'm a big Ohio State fan, so definitely a little upset with that result. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but as we always start our episodes, it's going to be go to the number, yet another number 60. It might be a quick, easy segment, number 67. Tommy, I'm going to swing it to you first.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Bob Kuchenberg for this episode. He put together a really good career, 6-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro, and he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. He put together a really good career with the Miami Dolphins, and he's my go to number 67.
Mike, are you going to agree with Tommy here?
Yeah, I'm going Bob Kuchenberg. I mean, he listed all the stats. It was just a real solid piece of the Miami O-line in the 70s and 80s. And also he has a pretty fantastic nickname, the Cooch. So it's got to be Bob Kuchenberg.
Matt?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Bob Kuchenberg too. His nickname is actually Cooch, not the Cooch, but Mike, thank you for saying that on air. But yeah. He's just absolutely fantastic for the Miami Dolphins. He won the Super Bowl when they went 17-0, and he played alongside some people that we talked about before. Jim Langer, I think, was in one of the episodes. Dwight Stevenson, I think Mike picked, if I remember. So it's definitely got to be Cooch.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Bob Goodbreak here as well. I mean, you guys named a lot of things. But he was an offensive lineman who played 14 years in the NFL, which is something that we don't see often. I mean, to have that kind of longevity when you're playing such a physical position in the NFL is definitely something to be known. And I mean, one of his Super Bowls with the Miami Dolphins was obviously the perfect season, 17-0. So definitely something to be recognized there for Bob Kuchenberg.
Awesome. This was actually a pretty quick segment compared to other times that we've done this. But we've got a great episode ahead, talking about a little of the college football playoff, like Connor said. Obviously, it went the right way, the correct way. So we'll get right into that. Welcome back to Go Chat. On Monday night, we all saw Alabama's dominance over Ohio State in the national championship, winning 52-24, having a very terrific game. I just wanted to recap the game with you guys. I know Connor is not going to love this segment. And then after we'll talk about, I'll pose you guys a question comparing last year's LSU team to this year's 2020 Alabama team. But Connor, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts on the college football playoff national championship finally ending this 2020 season?
Look, I mean, just the fact that we were able to get a college football championship game out of this season after all the different adversity, all these teams and coaches. I mean, the two coaches who coached in Monday night's game, Ryan Day and Nick Saban, both battled COVID, and so they knew the repercussions of it. So the fact that we were even able to, one of the teams to hoist the trophy last night is definitely a success for the season. I mean, you guys know I'm an Ohio State fan. So watching the game wasn't the best. I mean, Alabama's offense is just so lethal. And Steve Sarkisian, their offensive coordinator, put together a great game plan. And obviously now he's the head coach at Texas following Monday night's game. So he's definitely moving up the ranks. But, I mean, there was just a really good game plan. And Ohio State's defense couldn't stop it. And Ryan Day is known for making adjustments, maybe on the offensive side of the ball. But the defense, they just looked lost all night. Devonta Smith put up game numbers in one half. If he didn't dislocate his finger there to start the third quarter, who would have known what numbers he finished with last night? But, I mean, Mac Jones played great. Their offense was just so unbelievably hard to stop. And the only time that they didn't score on a possession was a Mac Jones fumble, which did lead to Ohio State points. But Ohio State's offense just couldn't match Alabama's offense. And Trey Sermon going down the first play of the game was definitely big, probably a broken collarbone. And then Wyatt Davis going down the end of the first half. Offensive guard for Ohio State was definitely Ohio State lost a lot of players. They were playing without 3 starters. Definitely no excuses. Alabama definitely deserved the championship, but it was just a crazy game to watch. Alabama is probably one of the best college teams, like, ever.
Mike, your thoughts?
I mean, last night was crazy due to the fact that just Alabama made it look so easy. Just they were running draws to Najee Harris up the middle, and he was getting 5 to 10 yards like almost every carry. They ran that little motion with Devontae Smith in the backfield at least a couple times in the red zone. That's how he got 2 of his touchdowns, and then he just ran past one defender on a cover 1 man, and he just blew by him. Like, they just make everything look so easy in Alabama. They make it look so smooth that it's really obviously last year's LSU offense was fantastic as well, but it's really nothing I've ever seen before. Just the sheer just how do I put this? Just how easy it was. They didn't, like Connor said, the only time they didn't score is when Mac Jones fumbled. That's it. They just make everything look so easy. They're so dominant in all facets of the game on offense. And then their defense actually played really well against Justin Fields in that Ohio State offense. Yes, they were down 3 starters. Yes, they lost Trey Sermon. But that doesn't mean that Justin Fields isn't on the field. Doesn't mean that Chris Olave is not running routes for him either. So they also did a good job on defense. But the story of the game is Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, Najee Harris, and that offense just absolutely dominating against Ohio State. And it's just a testament to what Nick Saban has built there during his tenure.
Tommy?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's incredible what Alabama's been able to do, over the past 5 years. And this team, they were just outstanding. I mean, undefeated, 13-0. And, Ohio State, they're an incredible team, right? And it wasn't even close. So what they're able to do day in and day out is just incredible. You mentioned Mac Jones, the type of season he had, Heisman finalist, 5 touchdowns in the national championship game. And then Devontae Smith, Heisman winner. He had 3 touchdowns in the national championship and 215 yards, which, like you said, Connor, those are stats that a lot of people get in one game. He got in one half. So he had quite the game, and it's just really impressive what they're able to do there. They're just, a level above all these other teams, Clemson, Ohio State, Notre Dame. They just dominate every single game, which is incredible. And, the national championship game showed, really how good they are to dominate against a talented Ohio State team. But, it was quite the game.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to agree with all of you guys. Alabama's dominance was absolutely fantastic. And I even said, I think, what was it, 3 episodes ago when we were talking about college football playoff, maybe even 4, that if Ohio State beat Clemson, which they did, I thought Alabama would just blow them out just because the dominance that they have as a team. And of course, kudos to Nick Saban. He's getting his 7th national championship, 6th with Alabama. He won 1 with LSU before. But we just look at this offense. I mean, I didn't think LSU could get better, or like an LSU offense last year. I didn't think I'd see anything better. I don't know if this particularly was better. It's really close, closer than probably some people think, some LSU fans think. But I mean, we're talking about Mac Jones. He set the single season passer rating record for college football. He set the single season pass completion percentage record actually also too, with a minimum of I think like a minimum of some large number of attempts. Obviously because someone throwing 1 for 1 would have 100%. But anyways, just the dominance that they've had. I mean, Devonta Smith, he broke a ton of records. He absolutely went off. We'll hear him later in this episode, but Najee Harris too. I mean, like, I can go on and on. Najee Harris, I honestly think he's like, I mean, I don't want to like overhype him or anything, but he's huge. I think he could be maybe another coming of Derrick Henry coming into the NFL. But I mean, I'm at a loss of words. This Alabama offense was fantastic. And we even saw Jalen Waddle come out. Maybe he shouldn't have played. I've seen a couple of NFL athletes say he shouldn't have, but he put his heart out into that field. The amount of catches, I think he had he had 3 catches, one in the beginning, which he hobbled off the field, but just the heart that the guy has, obviously coming back, he definitely wanted to play that game. And I mean, Alabama is just fantastic. There's really nothing else to say. Connor, you should have kept your Alabama pick. I guess that's all I'm gonna say there too.
Yeah, you know what? You guys messed with me the end of last episode, and I really wanted to root super hard for Ohio State because it's a championship game, and I figured we're so early on in the season that I really wanted to go for Ohio State, so I made the switch. Obviously, it didn't work out, but I mean, Matt, you mentioned Najee Harris, and if you're hesitant saying he's the next coming of Derrick Henry, I'm confident in saying that he's going to be the next Derrick Henry. I mean, the way that he was made contact with at the line, and then he got 5 yards every play. Like, he's getting hit, and he's pushing these 300-pound defensive linemen. And I mean, he's coming up into this next year's NFL draft. He will probably be a late first round, early second round pick. Hoping the Jets can land him there at either 23 or 34. That'd be great. But I mean, Najee Harris is going to be a top running back in the NFL in my eyes in a couple seasons. Wherever he lands, he's just so explosive.
Yeah, he's even got the 22 like Derrick Henry too. I mean, I just couldn't believe the guy's size. To be honest.
I think something that we saw from Najee Harris last night that we really didn't, or Monday night rather, that we didn't really see from. We don't see in Derrick Henry's game all that much is the pass catching. And I mean, Najee Harris had that big wheel route that wound up going for a touchdown where he then trucked through a defender, juked the other, and then leaped into the end zone for a touchdown. And I mean, Derrick Henry really doesn't have that pass catching in his game. Yes, he catches a 5-yard delayed fade out of the backfield and something like that. But other than that, I mean, Najee Harris can run routes and also power the ball up your throat for 10 yards a game. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see where he goes in the draft and then to see what kind of explosiveness he has in the NFL.
Before we move on to the question we had posed before, obviously Mac Jones, he had a fantastic game last night, threw for over 400 yards, right? Most efficient passer of the football in college football history, right? What is his NFL outlook? Do we think that he could possibly become a starter in the NFL? Do we think he could become a star in the NFL, or is he just going to be a second or third stringer? Matt, I'll swing it to you first. What do you think?
I think this is a really good question. I mean, looking at the draft coming up, there's a lot of talented quarterbacks, including himself and Kyle Trask. Could he be a starter? I think there's a lot of teams that can use a quarterback or that are going to need a quarterback with Drew Brees retiring soon, probably after this year. Ben Roethlisberger maybe a year after, Tom Brady as well, Phillip Rivers too. So there's a lot of teams that are going to need a quarterback, maybe a safety quarterback that they could bring up in this rookie draft class. But when we're talking about the quarterbacks in this draft class, you got Trevor Lawrence, who's an obvious first. I'd give Justin Fields a second, and then Zach Wilson a third. And then you got the guy from Trey Lance from North Dakota State. And then you got Mac Jones and Kyle Trask. So I think that this is a really packed top-heavy quarterback class. So I think he could potentially be a starter coming up. I don't think right away next year, maybe a couple years to groom behind Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, and some older vets like that.
Connor, what do you think?
You know, it's tough to say because a lot of times we see these Alabama quarterbacks who really show off in college. And I mean, it's the same for Ohio State quarterbacks. I'm not giving Justin Fields necessarily the benefit of the doubt that he's going to be great in the NFL. But we see Alabama quarterbacks like A.J. McCarron, just for an example of one, show off in college football and then not really translated to the NFL. I'd say the jury is definitely still out on Tua and Jalen Hurts. And I mean, Jalen Hurts finished at Oklahoma, but he was a product of Alabama. Mac Jones definitely has the capability of being a really good player in the NFL. But I mean, like Matt said, I'd probably rank Mac Jones the 6th best quarterback in this draft behind Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Kyle Trask, and then Mac Jones. And where does the 6th best quarterback get you landing on the draft board? Maybe late second round, third round guy. Who knows where he'll go? I mean, the draft is just so up in the air with the amount of needs that all these different teams need. I think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to what team drafts him. If it's going to be a team that's looking for a quarterback to start now, I don't think he's ready to start in the NFL. Like if Washington football team drafts him in the second round or the third round, they're like, okay, Mac Jones is our guy. I don't think it's going to work out. Where if maybe Tampa Bay or Pittsburgh or New Orleans or I don't know any other teams really that are close to having a quarterback retire. Maybe Indianapolis, if Philip Rivers decides to stay another year. If they draft him and have him sit for a year, then I would say maybe it's a little bit of a better scenario for him. But I'm going to say he's probably not going to be an efficient starter in the NFL.
Tommy, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And, it's tough because this was his only year as a starter, right? So I think, that does hurt him in one sense. But, I think that he certainly can be effective in the NFL. I don't know if he will be. I mean, you see all these other top quarterbacks that they get, 2-3 years to start for their team. And, he chose to go to a winner, to one of the best teams in college football, obviously, the best over the past 5 years for sure. And, I think that he definitely improved. I mean, we saw what he was able to do. He came out there, hadn't started in a couple years since high school, right? And then he comes out this year and has an incredible season. So, um, it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I agree with you guys as well.
Yeah, personally, I think that in his last year at Alabama, I feel like he had a lot of help. Like I said before, the Alabama offense made everything look so easy. I think that Steve Sarkisian was a big part of that. Just these like little wheel passes to Najee Harris and Devontae Smith, and his wide receivers were absolutely fantastic. And it's not like he threw like a gazillion yards and a ton of touchdowns like Joe Burrow did. Don't get me wrong, 4,500 yards and 40 plus touchdowns is a lot, right? But I feel like he'll need to take some time, and I feel like maybe he could be a capable starter. I agree with you, Connor. I would probably draft him sixth out of like the true top six guys. Maybe somewhere in like the mid second round or something like that. I feel like him or Kyle Trask could be a fit in Denver where they could compete with Drew Lock for a starting job. I feel like Kyle Trask could fit that mold more than Mac Jones, just because I feel like he's a better prospect. But I feel like Mac Jones, with the proper coaching and development and talent around him, I feel like he could be like a capable starter in the NFL, something similar to Alex Smith, maybe. I feel like that's not out the realm of possibilities. So that's kind of my outlook on him.
One thing I just want to say with the Alex Smith comparison is, I mean, remember back to the 2002 NFL draft or 2005 NFL draft. I don't exactly remember when Alex Smith came into the league. 2005. But I mean, he was the number one overall pick. And I mean, when we're talking about a number one overall pick coming out of, he was University of California, I think.
Utah.
Utah. Yeah, you're right. The Utah. When we're talking about the number one overall pick who had a really, really good, consistent college career versus potentially a third round guy who had one really good season in the college football, and that was his only season starting, I would just be a little hesitant comparing those two. Yeah, maybe as far as their NFL, they may be very close to similar, but I just think Alex Smith came into the league with a little bit more experience, and the coach had more confidence putting him under center day one than they would with Mac Jones.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just talking about what he possibly could be in the NFL. I'm not saying like he has like a humongous arm like Patrick Mahomes, but he can move, he's shifty, and he makes good decisions. So I feel like that's really similar to what Alex Smith does. He's a really solid quarterback in the NFL, and I feel like that's what Mac Jones could possibly be.
Now moving forward to comparing these two offenses, two recent LSU national champions, LSU, Alabama. ESPN posted a graphic. I'll put it up here. 2019 LSU versus 2020 Alabama. On the graphic as Joe Burrow, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Grant Delpit, Mac Jones, Najee Harris, Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith, Patrick Surtain Jr. I want to get your guys' opinion. Mike, I think, alluded to who he would pick, but which team in general was better, 2019 LSU or 2020 Alabama? Mike, I'm gonna start with you.
Oh gosh, this is an extremely tough question because both of these teams are so good. Um, I think LSU might have the better offense, just considering that they had both Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, and I think Joe Burrow was the better quarterback under center. I do think that Najee Harris is better than CH, but I feel like they just had more of an arsenal of weapons compared to what Alabama had. And then the defense is kind of tough. I think I'll go with LSU for this pick. I feel like it's extremely close. Maybe if Jalen Waddle was completely healthy, I might flip my pick, but I think just LSU was so dominant, regardless of the close game they played against Auburn, where they only won by 3. Yeah, they only won by 3, but they were just so dominant throughout the season. Joe Burrow over 5,000 yards, 60 touchdowns. We probably won't ever see that again. Best quarterback season in CFB history. So I'm gonna have to go with LSU here.
Connor.
It is really a tough question. And then like I hear Mike talking about Joe Burrow and all of his stuff, and quarterback play is super important for any team, whether it be high school, college, semi-pro, or the NFL, professional football. But also when you compare Joe Burrow to Mac Jones. I mean, yeah, Joe Burrow was the number 1 overall pick last year, and he has extremely high upside in the NFL. And then Mac Jones is going to be projected middle second round, third round guy, and he still put up the numbers that he did and was a Heisman finalist. And then you look at these guys who really emerged this year in Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle last year, and then unfortunately this year he had a fractured ankle. But Najee Harris, Alabama's offensive line is so good. They had an all-American center who was able to come in at the end of the game Monday night to get the last couple snaps, and after he got hurt against Notre Dame. But I think I have to go with Alabama here just because quarterback play is important. But when you also get consistency with a guy not as the big of realm as Joe Burrow with Mac Jones, and then he's able to do this with Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle and a great offensive line. And Alabama's defense is really good too. I mean, Patrick Surtain's going to be a top 15 pick in the NFL. They have a really good defensive line. I can't remember the guy's name from Monday night, but he was all over. Yeah, he was all over Alabama's back or Ohio State's backfield. I think I have to go with Alabama here by the slimmest of margins.
Tommy,
you're muted.
Sorry about that. No, this is really tough. I'm not sure. I've been going back and forth. I think I am going to give the edge to LSU, but at the same time, though, like you said, Connor, it's super close here. But, the type of season that Joe Burrow was able to have, he had 60 touchdowns. And when you look at the team as a whole, LSU did have more total yards, but, that doesn't necessarily, determine who's better. But, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he had an incredible year for LSU. But I don't know. I feel like for every player that you look at with the offense, there's someone comparable on Alabama. We talked about last segment with Najee Harris, Devonta Smith. They have incredible players, both teams. So, this is tough, but I'm going to go with LSU, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to go with LSU too. Kind of the way that I went with this is I looked at this graphic, and I said to myself, I would take Burrow over Jones, Harris over Edwards-Helaire. Combining Chase and Jefferson with versus Waddle and Smith is really close. That honestly might be a tie. If given Waddle's like fully healthy, and then Delpit, Surtain could go either way. But what I like about LSU is the dominance that they carried. I mean, we talk about the Peach Bowl that they played against Oklahoma, winning 63-28. I'm pretty sure Burrow only played one half of it. He went 29 for 39, 493 yards, excuse me. And then the most touchdowns in a college football playoff game with 7. So I would take Burrow above Mac Jones just because of Burrow's talent that he showed. I think he was absolutely fantastic. That was one of the best teams that I've seen play college football, and that's one of the reasons why I love watching SEC football is because how talented their offenses are, how talented the teams are. But I would say this is very slim. It's very, very slim. It was tough to choose, to be honest, too, after seeing last night's game with the college football final and how Alabama played against, how they tore through Ohio State.
Just to throw a little bit of different analysis in there, I necessarily don't think we really have an answer to this question until next season of college football, where we see what Alabama can do without these players on their team. Mac Jones isn't going to be on the team. Devonta Smith is definitely going to the NFL after what he did. Najee Harris is going to be in the NFL. Jalen Waddle is going to be in the NFL. Their center is going to be in the NFL. Patrick Surtain is going to be in the NFL. Excuse me. Where we saw after LSU lost these stars, they really weren't that great of a team this season without them. Where if we see what Alabama can do next year without these guys, and yes, Alabama and Nick Saban have an absolutely amazing recruiting system where they're always going to have good guys on that team. But if they're going to be a wire-to-wire, another number one overall team next year, then I would say maybe we give the edge to LSU because no matter what, Alabama has great players on the team. But if Alabama goes from being a wire-to-wire number one overall team winning a college football championship to then falling unranked, similar to what LSU did this season, then we might have to say, okay, this might lean towards Alabama because of what they did the year before and how they are playing now on the field this year. Just a little bit of a different perspective there on this question.
I feel like that method might be a little flawed, like you said, because Alabama has such a good recruiting team, and also they have the young guy who came in, Bryce Young, I think his name is. So he's a really talented, and when you look at LSU, who they had this year is Miles Brennan, who's not as good as Bryce Young. So that might be a little flawed, but I get what you're talking about. I get what you mean this question doesn't even have a right answer. It's just an opinion that we think.
I think that's going to wrap up a great college football segment. You know what? It didn't cause me as much heartache as I thought. The conversation really wasn't all about Ohio State, so I'm pretty okay with this segment. But I did get a loss in GOAT picks, unfortunately, after switching, so that's going to be tough. There's a 3-way tie between Matt, Mike, and Tommy, and then I'm sitting there in last. I think that's the first time ever. We have 2 NBA games and 2 NHL games that are going to be coming up next, so we're going to get into those GOAT picks.
Welcome back to GOAT Chat. We're back with the GOAT picks. Like Connor said, leaderboard is up 3-way tie. Me, Mike, Tommy. Connor decided to switch his pick after getting what do you want to call it? Bullied. I don't want to say bullied.
No, we definitely did bully him into that pick. No, we peer pressured him. There we go.
Yeah, that's better. That's what we do here on GOAT Chat. We peer pressure people into picking the wrong teams. Oh, but we're awful. Okay, anyways. We got 4 great games. Maybe Connor can get back into the lead. Probably not, just because he likes to choke. But 2 NBA games. NHL's back, so we got 2 NHL games. First one, Brooklyn versus New York. Tommy, I feel like you're going to go Brooklyn here. If you don't,
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I am going to go Brooklyn here. Despite them being without Kyrie, likely, it doesn't look like he's going to be back for that game. But, the Knicks have looked good too. So this is tough. But, Kevin Durant, he is back. So I'm going to give the edge to Brooklyn this one.
Mike?
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with Brooklyn in this one just because KD is back. That's their best player on their team by far. And they've kind of struggled without them. They're 5-6 right now. And obviously Kyrie's out. Let's just say that he's one of a kind. We'll just put it that way. But yeah, I'm going with the Nets here.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you guys. I'm going to go with the Nets. Sorry, Jeremy Goldstein. I know you wanted to see some Knicks wins, but I'm going to have to go with Brooklyn. Connor, you're in last.
I'm going to go with Brooklyn.
Oh
man, are you sure you don't want to go with the Knicks?
Dude, you're so far behind. You got to come back somehow.
All right. Enough of that. Golden State, Denver. Tommy, who do you got?
I'm going to have to go with Golden State here. I think this is going to be close, but I got to go with the home team. So we're going to go with Golden State. Steph Curry's going to have a big game. Denver's home? You kidding me? Oh, no.
No.
Yeah, Denver is the home team.
Oh, you know what? I was looking at the Pacers game. I was looking at the game tonight. Okay. Oh, this changes it. No, not really. I'm going with the Warriors still.
Okay. Mike, who are you going to go with?
Man, I was almost going to kill you a second. I want to get a game on Tommy, so I'm going with Denver here. I just think that as great as Steph Curry is, Denver is the much better team overall. Nikola Jokic is going to have a field day against a young and experienced James Wiseman, and Denver is going to win this game.
Yeah, I kind of want to get a game ahead of Tommy, so I'm going to go with Denver too. Connor?
Warriors. I
You're
think
going
they're
with the
gonna play well.
Warriors?
Yeah, they're going to play well. They're going to win. Steph Curry's still really starting to heat up this season. I think he's going to go out and play incredibly well.
All right, we got 2 NHL games starting tomorrow. The season, or it's actually tonight. I think the season starts tonight. 5:30, Philadelphia versus Pittsburgh. Philly's home, Tommy, if you wanted to know that. Who are you gonna go with?
I'm going to have to go with Philadelphia here. I just think that, they're a better team. I'm going to be honest, don't know too much about hockey, so I was looking at the lines. I think that the Flyers will get this win. Can't tell you too much beyond that, but we're going to pick the Flyers.
Mike?
I'm going with the Flyers too. I just think that they're the better team. Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby are only getting older. We'll see how Tristan Jerry does as the full-time starter for Pittsburgh, but I'm going with Flyers in game 1.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Kata Hot and the Philadelphia Flyers myself. I think both teams are very talented, but I'm gonna give the edge to Philly after having an incredible season last year. Connor?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with the Flyers. You guys make it pretty easy for me to be in last place when we start these NHL picks. I'm not the biggest hockey guy, so just kind of following the crowd here, going the Flyers.
I think we know you're not the biggest hockey guy after last episode, not picking
Mario Lemieux.
Mario Lemieux. I think we figured
And I
that
hadn't even heard of hockey according to Mike prior to last episode, so we'll see. I don't know what's going to happen with these picks, but
Okay, Tommy, might as well finish off your last pick, St. Louis at Colorado.
yeah, I got to go with Colorado here. Not too much to say. Let's go Avalanche.
Mike?
I'm going with Colorado as well. I think that they're probably the best team in the NHL with Kucherov being out for the whole season for Tampa. So I'll go with Colorado here.
I wish you guys picked St. Louis. I'm going to go with Colorado. Like Mike said, they're a very talented team. McKinnon, my boy Cable Car Makar, absolute stud. I got Colorado here. Connor?
Go Avalanche.
Be
great
sure about that.
Positive. And let's end the segment now so there's no disputing. Great Go Pick segment. We're going to move into Go to the Week next.
Welcome back to Go Chat. And we are here in the last segment, Go of the Week. Connor did win last week with the man of the Go of the Week, Justin Fields. He killed it last week, And not much to say about him this week, but last week he was fantastic. But he did give Connor that win. So congrats, Connor. You finally won another Go of the Week. So, Connor, I'll swing it to you first. Who's your Go of the Week?
I'm going to go with the person who brought the Buffalo Bills their first playoff win in over 25 years, and that's Josh Allen. He had a really good game. It was a good playoff game in general on Saturday, but he had a really good game. He threw for 324 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then he also ran for 54 yards and a touchdown rushing on the ground. Obviously, I know it's no match for some of these other GOAT of the weeks that are up against me, but Josh Allen did have a very good game, and I think he could play again really well next week against the Ravens.
You know what, man? Let's just get done and over with. Who's your Go of the Week?
Devonta Smith, baby. I mean, first off, guy wins the Heisman, wide receiver, the third wide receiver to win the Heisman. Last time Desmond Howard was the last wide receiver. That was a while ago. So Devonta Smith winning the Heisman right there. and then shredding Ohio State's overrated defense in the first half, getting 12 receptions for 215 yards and 3 touchdowns. Unfortunately, had a finger injury, dislocated. They couldn't pop it back in. I know it's disgusting, but he had to leave the game, end up coming back, but didn't play. He's setting all these records. I can't even explain. It's like he set the SEC record for the season, but talking about yesterday's game, 12 receptions. I think that's the most receptions in a college football playoff game, or the finals rather. But just overall had a really good game. And Connor, congrats on last week with Justin Fields. The guy couldn't show up this week, obviously with the loss. But it's okay. His career is probably going to be over once he gets on the Jets, once he's drafted there. Because that's probably where he's going to go. But Devonta Smith is the obvious choice. I'd like to see Tommy's pick and Mike's pick. Josh Allen was great, I must say, but no match for the boy. No match for Smitty. We'll just put it there.
Tommy, who's your competition? Who you got here?
I have to go with Mac Jones in this one. Probably not going to win, but he had a great game. 5 touchdowns, 464 yards he threw for, which, very impressive. And, he led Alabama to a big national championship win, 52-24. So, I'm going with him because he played the full game. Devonta Smith, I think he'll win because, he won the Heisman. He had just an outstanding game. And, he probably deserves to win. I'm not selling my pick very well, but at the same time, Mac Jones, he was there for the whole game, and he put together a really good effort in the victory. So I got to go with Mac Jones.
All great picks here, but I'm going to have to go with the one and only Baker Mayfield. He did it. He brought the Browns to the promised land. Well, not the promised land, but they won a playoff game for the first time in 26 years. The Cleveland Browns won a playoff game, breaking their miserable drought. I mean, they've been the laughing stock of the NFL the past 20 some odd years, right? And Baker Mayfield, without his head coach, without his starting left guard, without other players and other coaches missing due to COVID protocol, he really bounced back after a not so great week 17. We all thought that the Steelers were going to pretty much blow out the Browns, given that the Browns only won by 2 in week 17. Even Connor changed his pick to the Steelers. So the whole world was against the Cleveland Browns, right? But Baker Mayfield came out and proved everyone wrong. Threw 260 yards and 3 touchdowns. He led the Cleveland Browns to a win that no one thought that they could accomplish. Yes, Devonta Smith is fantastic. Yes, Mac Jones played amazing too. Josh Allen, he's also a great player. But Baker Mayfield, who would have thought that Cleveland would have won a playoff game? No one. Baker Mayfield did it. Therefore, he should be Go of the Week.
I mean, I'll give Connor props. He thought Cleveland was going to win a playoff game, and then he ended up switching it. Connor, it's a rough week for you, buddy. It's a rough week.
You know what, Matt? I've had this building up. So you know what? Next week, I'm going to make my Go to the Week call right now. Stand in right now. My Go to the Week is Jared Goff for going into Green Bay, and he's going to beat the Green Bay Packers. Okay?
All right, so
Can we have that locked?
Pick 2 or no?
Can we lock that?
Can you lock that in? Can you just lock that GOAT pick in? That
it is being held in my GOAT pick spot right now, so that on Sunday when he actually does do it, I will lock it in.
I mean, I don't even think that's probably your best choice. I'd probably go with Jalen Ramsey yourself, because
he's gonna pick off Aaron Rodgers 4 times.
Yeah, probably. Aaron Rodgers always throws interceptions.
He just sucks.
He really does suck. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, well, I think that wraps up another good episode. Guys, please follow us on Instagram. We're teetering between 500-something followers and 498 followers. We got some trolls on Instagram, so please help us out there. Please, let's secure our spot over the 500 landmark. And as always, thank you for the support. Our past couple of videos have been really good with the views. We've gained a couple of subscribers, so we're thankful for you. If you are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all that good stuff. And we will see you next time.